What does dark deception hide from the player throughout the stranger sewers and the crazy carnival? In Dark Deception, the player must run through terrifying maze environments, all while evading various creatures and demons. But beyond what we can see, there's plenty that we can't as well. Like, how does Doom Ducky move throughout the sewers? We'll be exploring out of bounds, checking things behind the scenes, and breaking the game to encounter situations we normally can't. So without any further delay, let's dive into Chapter 3, as we proceed into the stranger sewers first. There's 6 pieces left, as Bierce introduces us to the next area, which leads to stranger sewers. The way is shut, however, which follows with obtaining an upgrade we need in order to proceed. I used the new ability, being telepathy, before going back through the portal, but you can see it must have triggered the door. It was already halfway up when I came through the portal, which was odd. Entering the sewers, though, we'll be greeted with a jump scare, as some large-eyed creature tries to strangle us. Breaking free and continuing on, we'll use telepathy quite often, as it basically allows us to see which dread duckies are bad duckies and which duckies are safe. There's a lot of ducks in these sewers. Passing by the bad ones will begin a chase, but avoiding them when you can is key. There are spike traps at certain points of the sewers, along with one free-roaming duck, who I happened to come across during my soul shard collecting. The speed barrier kept me safe, as you can see, but it didn't stop it from tagging me with its spring-loaded tongue. Once collecting all the shards that we can, we'll open this barrier, which leads to what feels like the central point of the entire map, as Ring Altar is here too. Let's take a better look though, as we'll stop here and revisit everything we just endured. So with this hall that we need to go through, I sort of missed out on what we're normally supposed to see. In terms of using our ability, that is. There's a hotel monkey that's behind the door, which we can get a better look at back here. He looks eagerly ready to fulfill whatever hotel needs we request, as I imagine Pain is on that list. As you can see, it's pretty dark in here, minus my light of course, but when using the telepathy, this is what transpires before the door opens for the player. It happens fairly fast, but what I didn't realize is that there's actually 2 doors here. The one door will just vanish right when the knife-wielding monkey begins to sprint away, as he eventually disappears, all while the door we're behind opens slowly. Moving on, so right at the beginning here, if we go to the left, the wall can be interacted with, as it opens to another path. Making our way up here will lead to a mysterious room, which I believe is in every level of the game. However, if we come over here, where we end up getting jump scared, we can get a better look at the aggressor who is awaiting us. It's just a tiny arm at the moment though, with a torn up white glove on, which you'll want to remember overall. Walking by this hole and keeping it on screen will prevent the jump scare from occurring. But as soon as you look away and back towards the hole, it'll strike. Unfortunately, the visuals from this attack make trying to view this sorta difficult. But this is what it looks like right before the visual effects of the attack kick in. The arm will just disappear right after the attack, but those bulging orange eyes will remain staring at us. Carrying on, I went ahead and zoomed out above the sewers, where we could get a better look at the tablet map, as you can see. From here, we can see the start of the level, following with the section we're presently in, along with the midpoint and second section. Coming back to the sewers, you'll see there is visually no difference between the naughty and nice ducks, but we can take a closer look at this particular naughty one, as I've restricted its movement. It still tried to kiss me though, which startled me, but this led to me getting in a better position, as we take a closer look at the spring action attack it does. Significantly slowing the speed down, we can see how the xenomorph-like duck tongue will spring out and retract back in. Following it into the duck was interesting though. We can see how the metal portion is overlapping itself in here, but then it'll begin to spin around while shrinking to an incredibly small size. This is probably to help further conceal the contraption within while the duck moves about. At this point, I decided to bring our friend up and out of the sewers. It was a process to get the bird to cooperate, but eventually, we made our way up onto the tablet map. I figured I'd give Howard the Duck one last look at all the soul shards, as it's time to steal the rest of them. So we'll carry on from where we had stopped, being the midpoint. With the ring altar at the central point of the map, we'll push onward into the next sewer system. It is quite nearly identical to the first portion of the sewers, as we collect the remaining soul shards. Once doing so, that's when we'll need to head back to the central area of the map, so we can then collect our reward from the glorious ring altar. However, Malik is unsurprisingly ready for this moment, as he informs us that our little streak has come to an end. Like the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, Malak will introduce us to his own pet, as we now have a boss fight on our hands. It's a giant duck called Doom Ducky that has 10+ arms that'll throw smaller ducks at us, along with trying to one-shot us with a snapping turtle-like attack. During all this chaos, we'll need to turn these wheels in the center of the room, which will eventually end the fight. Multiple Dread Duckies will join the battle as you progress too. Once successfully doing this, we'll then need to run all the way back to the beginning. There's a particular path we'll need to take through this portion though, with multiple ducks blocking certain paths, along with our large and in-charge friend from before. The monstrous duck will viciously squeeze through these sewers as it chases us. Once getting back to the start, we'll see a lone duck sitting guard, as we'll just have to run for it. Large Marge will make one last attempt to gobble us up, but as you can see, we escaped. Time to take another look at the remainder of this level though. To start off, I went ahead and reset the level to have all the soul shards back. Doing this, I wanted to see how the game would react if I went ahead and collected the soul shards from the second section first. While in the central room, you'll see that I checked out where the big ducky will end up, but it's nowhere to be found back here. However, what I noticed with jumping to the second section first is that the naughty ducks are still in the first section, which are identified as these red triangles on the tablet map. This in turn results with the second section having 0 angry ducks, as we're essentially safe over here, minus the spike traps. There are a couple of areas that we can find like this, where we can lower down into the room. This particular one has a Beers folder, along with some dancing ducks. The other area we can lower into is in the first section though, which I missed, as it too has a folder to collect. We can get back here with the dancing ducks, but as you can see, there are no interactions that occur when coming into contact with them. The dancing is majestic, if you ask me, and like the Energizer Bunny, they'll just keep dancing and dancing their hearts out until the end of time. There's a particular area in this section where we can see those eyes again. They'll just stare at us, but I think it's fair to say that we now have an idea who these eyes belong to. I also did find another folder in the second section, but moving on to finishing that task of collecting the second half's shards first, I'm completing that right here, and then let's hop over to the first part of the map. So now it's time to grab the shards in part 1. After a little persuasion with the 7 deadly ducks, I gathered the rest of the shards fairly easily. However, this sense of victory was short-lived. I believe by sequence breaking the level like this, we've soft-locked the game, as it still thinks we need to collect soul shards from the second section. I say this because, yeah, the ring altar does nothing when interacting with it. I tried spawning a soul shard to see if grabbing it would push me into the boss fight, but it was a no-go. I ended up having to restart and acquire the second section's soul shards again. Unglorious. Doing it again this time around, I managed to spot Malak in his ghost mode on our tail, as his neck appeared to be broken. Probably because I froze the game, but I digress. The giant duck won't spawn until the door begins to open, and not much transpires off camera during this scene. My game unfortunately crashed while trying to observe this part though, so I ended up loading right into the fight. Taking a look at this monstrosity, we can clearly see that this is the thing that strangled us at the beginning of the level. Big orange eyes and all. However, watching its arms come back out of its body in slow motion was neat, which prompted me to take a closer look. You can see that these arms will retract back into the duck's body, or rather, will shrink back into the body as we can find the tiny models of the arms within. We can also see that he clearly has an unlimited supply of ducks that it'll throw at us, which explode on contact. Glorious. Its snapping attack is very fast, and watching this monster kill the player in slow motion reveals a peculiar spectacle. Its head will fly out towards the player as the neck becomes elongated and stretched out. However, dying is not an option here, so I decided to cage this fool with a bunch of duplicated pillars. It's a messy setup, but it gets the job done, allowing me to breeze through this fight. Well, sorta. The big ducky will actually disappear before the door shuts on it, if you watch very carefully, but now the chase is on. The first thing that caught my eye with the big duck that chases us was the giant misty-looking black wall attached to it. My guess on why this is utilized like this would be so that the player wouldn't see the body of the duck clipping through the walls and other objects. This layer obscures what is behind the head. Needless to say, this guy's having the time of his life though, smiling like he means it. The dead-looking, dancing ducks that obstruct our path are similar to the ones we saw before, but these ones are the boss fight duckies, as they're called in the files. We're currently at the last chase sequence that we have with the duck though, and by warping into here and not using this door, we'll see that it sort of glitches out our yellow friend. Rather than disappearing, as it normally would, we'll see that his line of sight will remain locked onto us, but it'll continue chugging away through the sewer. It doesn't stop either, it'll continue on this straight path indefinitely, as it ventures further away from the sewers and into the great beyond. Just look at him go! At the end here, we can see how they jammed this giant bird into this area, being where it jumps out and tries to bite us, which concludes our adventure through these sewers, as we give our farewell to this big mama. Onto the crazy carnival. Entering this next portal, you'll see that there's a hotel monkey creepily awaiting us, as we'll need our next power-up to push on, that being Primal Fear. It essentially functions like the stun orb we can find within the mazes. This follows with exploring the outdoor area, as we'll find a clown car that is recklessly driving about. It'll lead us into this big circus tent, where we'll test our strength, as the situation intensifies. Ultimately, using Primal Fear will set us free. This leads us into the first maze portion of the level. It's quite the spectacle when entering, as we'll want to take a ride on this wild slide. The layout of the soul shards in this level are similar to Deadly Decadence, as they are more spaced out from one another. There's a second level above us, along with hammers and giant jack-in-the-box clowns that will destroy us. Oh, and of course, these little guys. Once retrieving the last shard, we'll head into this portal, which brings us to this circus tent where the ring altar is. After a bit of spinning about, a path will show itself for us to escape through. It'll follow with this bright, trippy ride on this roller coaster, as it leads us to the funhouse. We'll stop here though, and look more closely at what we just went through. Back in this hall, before the level, we can see our monkey friend is eager to serve, just like his friend from before. I used Primal Fear on him while the game was slowed down, which resulted with this cool-looking explosion. Snazzy. Anyways, let's head into the maze. Zooming out, we'll see that we're on a large square slab of land, as the carnival resides in the middle of it. We can see the cage that ends up falling on us, floating out here right above this large tent, along with the clown car being down below, which we're about to encounter. We can also see the portal that we'll end up exiting from, but that's about it. Pushing forward, the clown car showed up fairly quickly, as it nearly evaded me, even with slowing the game down. Watching it slide about is funny to see, as it zooms down this way, making a peculiar turn where it eventually awaits us. Approaching it again, we'll see how it'll make its way down into the tent, where it clips through basically everything, stopping right where it had started. There's quite the crowd in here, as it's all cutouts of previous foes, but up above within this tent, we can find a beers folder. After grabbing that, I went ahead and picked up the hammer, as we can watch it play out from this angle. The hammer clips to the ground, staying low and out of the player's sight until we use it. That's when we'll see the rest of this scene play out, as these killer clowns toy with us. I thought I was going to die here because of a time limit, but you can basically sit here, and they'll never break into the cage. They sort of remind me of the motorcycle clowns from the Red Triangle Circus Gang from the film Batman Returns. Anyways, after clowning these clowns, I escaped from the cage, thinking they'd bolt right for me. But it looks like we're safe here, as I'm even able to walk right up on them. Unsurprisingly, of course. I went ahead and blew them up with Primal Fear though, which looks pretty intense in slow motion. It's now time to enter this maze though. I must say, observing this level overall was intriguing. There's a lot going on when looking at it from afar, but it was definitely cool to explore freely. We can see parts of the tablet map are loaded at this point too, but this will change as we enter the level. There's also this area here, where we can see a beers folder waiting to be acquired. At this point, I changed our sight for a better view. This is when my attention was drawn to the terrifying jack-in-the-box clowns. Watching them retract back into the box in slow motion was neat though. They'll come back to the box, and once the head is inside the box, it becomes this tiny little slump of a clown. Isn't he so cute? This doesn't last long though, as you can see while watching it at regular speed. The hammers are, not hiding much, minus a crushing death. Moving on, normally we would take this slide down, as it becomes a brief cutscene. The cutscene only plays through once, so if we warp our way back up to the beginning, this cutscene will cease to exist, allowing me to go down the slide at my discretion. It becomes somewhat problematic, as you can see. I can't even get up the first ramp. The abilities I have can't even save me. However, warping about on the slide, you can see that we can move on the other portions of it. Whoops. At the end of the slide, we can see how the tablet map is loaded in right above the first level, but we can walk right through it. Similarly, it'll be visible above the second level, when traversing on that level, that is. This is when the clown cars showed up, as there were 2 of them that came to greet me. I stood there for a minute, messing with some settings, and that's when I noticed the cars began dancing in a way. It was odd, so I just hung out there for a bit longer as they began to fuse. Clipping into each other more and more, they began to form one big clown car. That's when I warped over, but got stuck behind an invisible wall. This allowed me to get a closer look at the cars and the clown gremlins as they began popping out. I couldn't make out how many were here, as the majority of them were clipping within each other, but after shuffling them about, you'll see that we'd be dealing with 10 of them, if we were playing normally. Getting into this maze though, we can see how it looks from this perspective as the gremlins kill the player. Clearing the level on easy mode, I just restarted the level, warped down to the maze, and bypassed the slide cutscene. This results with no clown cars, which means no clown gremlins. Glorious! After obtaining the shards, we're now at the part where we seek out the portal, which brings us to the ring altar, which then brings us to the trippy roller coaster ride. These 2 mentioned locations can be found down below the maze of soul shards we just ran. As you can see, the ring altar room has multiple compartments that branch from it, with one having another Beer's folder. Other than getting down here as the player and free roaming, there isn't much to see with the roller coaster ride section. It is curious to watch the ride when it's running, as our character is buckled into this clown-infested nightmare. This sums up the first portion of Crazy Carnival though, as the portal we're presently moving towards will take us to the second half. Let's carry on. So heading into this funhouse, the scenery has changed. You'll see we're now back in a more enclosed maze of shards. We'll be pursued by a bunch of clown gremlins in this level as well, along with a particular one that rides on a cart, who, I might add, is my least favorite of them all. Rest in peace. There's these cannons that are scattered through the map that we'll need to watch out for. After running through what would regularly be any kid's dream, minus the death and all, we'll want to carefully collect all 220 soul shards that are on this map. My first time doing this, I managed to stay clear of Malik while getting to the exit. This will bring us back to the ring altar, where we'll do the same dance with the gremlins, but not before getting our prize from the altar. Escaping here, we'll find ourselves back outside again. Attempting to flee this nightmare, Malik will stop us to have a chat. Our objective gets dangerous quickly, as a boss fight will ensue from this. Constantly running on to avoid the gremlins, we'll want to draw in the big boys by getting close, as they will attempt to smash us. The goal here is to make them miss, and having the others get hit instead. Rinse and repeat this process a handful of times, and this will lead to their defeat, as we're then pursued by Malik in his ghost form. He isn't going to catch us though, as we're able to escape. It's time to now take one last closer look at everything we just went through. The funhouse is a pretty big level considering it's just one floor. You can see how all the rooms within this level are laid out, as they essentially mirror one another when comparing each side of the map. I saw something off to the side while observing all of this, which turned out to be a power orb and bonus shard. Curious. We'll see it's another usual setup with the tablet map though, as it's underneath us this time, with the purple squares being above. To my knowledge, there is one single Beer's folder in this level, which can be found here, in this little hidden black room. Moving on, the clown gremlins look a little different in this level as well, considering they have a green hue. But this isn't the traditional view at the moment, so we'll come back to this topic in a few. I decided to mess with the clowns first, by going down below the map, as I assumed they would just start aimlessly walking about, given that I wouldn't technically be present within the level. While waiting to see if the clowns had a clue to my whereabouts, I followed probably the worst clown in this level with my camera. This guy will basically ride along this track over and over, as it outlines the perimeter of the map. He's very fast, and if you're not paying attention, it's lights out. As you can see though, he's just cruising. But he will make one pit stop, being relatively close to where the Beer's folder is. It's temporary though, as he'll eventually bolt off once again. Ghost Malik can be found right out of bounds here as well. Like in all the other levels, he'd just be chillin'. I also took a closer look at these cannons before seeking out the clowns, as they blow up stuff in slow motion. While searching for these little gremlins, I couldn't help but notice that this level definitely gives off a mixture of movie theater and laser tag vibes, if you ask me. I finally found the gremlins though. It definitely threw me off guard when doing so, as they're all standing within the start area, just waving. they continued to just hang out in there when I came back up as the player too, which was off-putting. I thought to myself, did I just win? It did not last though, as one by one, they began chasing me. This prompted me to restart the level and watch this gathering of gremlins firsthand as I increased the game speed. One by one, these little devils slowly, but eventually, find their way to this room, where they'll once again await for our character's soul. So at this point, I figured my goal should be to trap them within here so I can clear the level without issues. I decided I was going to use one of these barrels as I began dragging it to the doorway, where I enlarged it and blocked the path. As you can see, the view is normal again though, and we can see how the clowns appear to be glowing, as they normally do. Again, looking like Batman characters, but this time it's the golems from the Batman Forever film. We've captured them all within here, so I'm going to just steal all these shards now. Even with no clowns chasing us, this still took quite a bit of time to complete. However, I reached the end and got just a quick glimpse of Malik on the way out, which appeared to be nothing new. So I escaped. Being back in the ring altar room, I got my prize and just warped into the portal area and waited. It was sort of silly watching the gremlins know exactly where I am, as they couldn't do anything about it. Sorry, not sorry. Being outside again shows that the map is basically back to its default state, as it looks like I never even went into the big tent, with the Test Your Strength game appearing to be untouched. When Malik traps us and begins this cutscene right before the boss fight though, you'll see that there's nothing worth noting while breaking off the main camera. We can see the Goliath clowns spawn in, but I believe we can see this through the cutscene camera as well. These clowns are relatively harmless, unless you find yourself under their fists when they're slamming it. However, I thought it'd be clever and get out of bounds of the boss fight area to see if I could still progress like this. Sadly, I cannot. But as you can see, they still react to where I am, including the Goliath, as it instead slams its fists into the gremlins. I ran to another big boy, just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, but being out here turned out to be a wash. Using the power orb in here is pretty cool though, as it'll destroy all the gremlins. However, this just results with the Goliaths puking out more of the gremlins all at once too. So, with that, I just slowly but surely pecked away at these lads, as I dropped them one by one, eventually completing it. Malik will give us a final rundown, which is nothing we're not familiar with, as we run and make our escape from this nightmare. But with that, we've reached the end of the crazy carnival, which brings Chapter 3 to a close. I hope you enjoyed my silly antics, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!